The limit as x approaches negative infinity of x cubed. Now, what kind of a number is negative infinity?
Anything less than 0 for as long as forever.
And like a huge negative number, like, very far to the left on the graph, right? Mm-hmm. So when I put a negative number and cube it, what's the result going to be?
It's going to be positive.
Not a cube, no.
Oh, it'll be negative.
It's going to be a negative, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and then a positive times that third negative is a negative. Mm-hmm. So the answer to this is going to be negative infinity, because it's going to be, if you cube a humongous negative number, you're going to get a humongouser negative number. And that's not a word, but it makes my point. Now let's look at the middle one. When I plug in a negative infinity into x to the 4, what kind of number am I going to get? A positive, because you've got negative times a negative is a positive, negative times a negative is a positive, and positive times a positive is a positive. So this one's going to be positive infinity. Don't forget that. Now, if I have a number over infinity, what is that number going to be close to?
0.
Very good. Because if I take a pie and cut it into billions and billions and billions of pieces, and I get one of those pieces, you're not even going to see it on the plate, okay? It's close to nothing. So whenever you have a number over infinity, it's going to be 0. All right?
I secretly wear tons of mascara every day.
I'm putting a humongous number in here. That's going to be big. And I'm subtracting a big number, but not as big as this guy, right? He's the biggest.
Yeah.
And then I'm subtracting another big number, but nowhere near as big as that guy, that first guy. And then I'm subtracting 1. That's like nothing. So the answer to this is going to be infinity. Because, now, when you put this in your calculator in the y equals screen, and you graph it, it's going to kind of look like this, something like this. Well, as x approaches infinity, would be over to the right. Here's infinity. Here's negative infinity, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens to the graph when you get the numbers get bigger and bigger? It's going to head to heaven. So the answer is positive infinity. Here it heads to heaven too. So this answer would be positive infinity also. Okay? If I were to fourth a number that is the biggest number you can imagine in the world, it's going to be a humongous, humongous number. And anything cubed, even if it's the same number cubed, it's going to be a lot less than the 1 to the 4th. Yeah. It's just not going to get there. Okay? But you can look at the graph. All right. So I'm going to take this negative 3x squared and divide it by x squared. And then I'm going to divide the x squared by x squared. And I'm going to divide the 4 by x squared. So I'm dividing it by the biggest x in the basement. Okay?
No.
All right. So here, these bite the dust, and that's going to be a negative 3. This is a 1. And this is a 0, because remember we said 4 over a humongous number is 0. So it's going to be negative 3 is your answer. So I divide everything by x squared. Yeah. Up here, it turns into negative 3x over 2 plus 0, really, because when you put in an infinite, this is going to turn into a 0, and this goes away, so it's 2. What is negative 3 times infinity? Negative 3 times a humongous number is going to be a what?
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity.